2020 to order. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Mosby.
Present.
Councilmember Starbuck.
Present.
Councilmember Vega.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilda Cordova.
Present.
Mayor Janelle Osborne.
Here. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I ask for the city manager report, I'd just like to remind our public that our streaming version is still down. We are working to get that installed, but you can watch the meeting live on channel 23 Comcast or listen on our radio station at KPEG 100.9. During public comments for items on the agenda, you may call 805-875-8201 before the close of public comment on that agenda item and provide 3 minutes of comment. And also as a reminder, on Tuesdays prior to council by 4 p.m., you may email your comments to s_haddon@ci.lompoc.ca.us. City manager report, please.
Actually, Mayor, I had no report for tonight.
Thank you. We will now open the floor on public comment for the consent calendar. It's 3 minutes. The number to call if you're calling in is 805-875-8201. And remember to mute your TV or radio, 805-875-8201. If there is anyone in the room that would like to comment on consent calendar, the floor is now open and you may come forward and have 3 minutes. While we wait to see if there's any calls, consent calendars considered to be a routine action and will be enacted after one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the council vote. Any items withdrawn from the consent calendar for separate discussion will be addressed immediately before the second oral communication near the end of the meeting. Again, the number to call is 805-875-8201. And remember to mute your TV or radio. Seeing as we have no calls or anyone in the room, we will return consent calendar to council and ask for a motion. Councilmember Vega.
I'll make a motion that we accept consent calendar as stated.
Thank you.
Second.
And Ms. Cordova seconds. Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, let's vote. And that passes 5-0. We will now have the election presentation of certificates and the administration of votes and allegiances and seating of new council. First, I would like to invite Councilmember Mosby to join me at the podium so that I may congratulate you on your 6 years of service and provide you with your certificate. Thank you for your service as City Council member from December 20th, 2014 through December 1st, 2020, only 19 days short of being exactly 6 years. In appreciation for your dedication and commitment to the City of Lompoc and its citizens, thank you, and we appreciate all you have done for us. If you'd like to say a few words. And now I hand the program over to our city clerk.
Good evening, everybody. Mayor Osborne, Councilmember Cordova, and newly elected Councilmember Ball, please come up. If you would like to have somebody stand with you, please have those people up there too. Did you have anybody want? You can have as many people you want up here with you, if you want. We know that this is not something you do on your own. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I will support the laws and policies of the City of Lompoc, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Could I have each of you come up and sign your oaths, please? Thank you. This is yours. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we will take a 10-minute recess while we reset everything and give you a chance to congratulate council members, say goodbye to our outgoing council members, and reconvene and call to order in 10 minutes. We'll now reconvene the City Council meeting for December 1st, 2020. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Vega,
Here.
Councilmember Starbuck,
Present.
Councilmember Ball,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gilda Cordova,
Present.
Mayor Janelle Osborne.
Here. Before we move to the next part of the agenda, I just want to take a moment and thank our community. You turned out and voted at a higher rate than you ever have. And I just need to say thank you. We all appreciate you investing your time, and we invite you to continue to participate in your local government. It is here that your voice is strongest. We want you to be present for it, and especially during the pandemic, either through email, the phone calls, and as long as our council chambers are open, present, masks and social distancing. I want to thank Councilmember Vega for running a respectful campaign, for Jeremy Ball and Councilmember Mosby for running a great campaign, and for Councilmember Cordova, who was unopposed for still running a campaign and educating the community. This is a chance for us to deal with some really important issues during a very difficult time, and yet I think we will really see us invest in the community, and we're here and ready to listen to you. So please remain engaged. Don't just vote. Continue to show up, participate, be a part of the community. We depend on you telling us what you're looking for in order to make better decisions. So, our first agenda item for the new council is a staff presentation from our police chief, Mariani, about cameras in the police department.
Excuse me, Mayor. I'm sorry. Can we make an announcement about the radio?
Yes, thank you for the reminder. KPEG went down during our break, so if you were trying to listen on the radio, we apologize. If it comes back up, I will get interrupted by our city clerk to let us know it's back up. Unfortunately, it is down. You have the floor.
We're revisiting a topic that was initially addressed back in September, and it was regarding body-worn cameras. And we had several members of the community, both in council as well in Public Safety Commission, voice their concerns and their support for the police department to have body-worn cameras. So at that time, I gave a presentation, and I'm going to review a little bit of what the last presentation gave, so there's a good segue and a transition to what was requested for this evening. So last time we mentioned that if we were to get body-worn cameras, probably one of the more prominent vendors that we looked at, they gave us a breakdown of the cost over a 5-year period, which you see there. To the right are the positions that we would need to do Public Records Act requests, and it would require a unit that would consist of a sergeant, a police officer, 2 record technicians. And those salaries include those costs not only include the salary, but also the benefit package component, so that's why it comes out to $464,000 for those positions. Moving on to the next slide. Body-worn camera review, what does the investment pay for? So if we were to get body-worn cameras with this one vendor or with a similar vendor, we would have to purchase 50 body cams, charging units, and 15 in-car video systems for our patrol cars and other cars that would need them as well. The storage for all that data would be cloud-based, and it's really the best option given the availability of this technology as opposed to resorting to what we're currently having, and I'll explain that in a little bit more too. Data transfer would be by even cellular networks, and then we would have triggers. Those are mechanisms that activate the body cameras when an officer activates it, If they draw their taser, it would automatically activate. And, you know, there were members of the community that had some concerns sometimes about when we draw our weapons. This would also provide the ability to look at what the circumstances were that caused the officer to draw their weapons. So as it's mentioned there at the bottom, to trigger activates a Bluetooth signal. The body cam of any officer in range will begin recording automatically. So if you have other officers in the scene, on scene too, once that trigger is activated, other officers who are present, it would also activate their cameras too. And you might say, well, what's the advantage of that? Well, you would get different perspectives from where the officers were standing. So it's really, really a comprehensive and thorough way of capturing what occurs at a scene. Next slide, please. Vendor would supply all equipment at the time of purchase. As I mentioned before, 50 body worn cameras. And at the 2.5-year juncture, the vendor replaces all body-worn cameras. And at the 5-year mark, the vendor replaces all body-worn cameras as well. And then the evidence redaction software is included in the pricing. And as I mentioned before, you know, a simple traffic stop of 20 minutes would take anywhere from 4 to 6 hours to redact. So it's very labor intensive. I know that there was also a recommendation or request for the city attorney to provide a cost analysis on what it would cost if they were to do that service as well in terms of the redaction. Okay, next slide. So, as I mentioned, in 2016, the department implemented in-car video. And the reason we did that 5 years ago was, number one, the technology wasn't what we know of it today. And we thought at that time, too, given our limitations in the budget, that the most comprehensive way or the best way to address that would be through in-car video. So just to replace the in-car video, the price would be $74,600. And that's for 16 in-car video systems. That's limited now because unlike the body-worn, once an officer moves away from his vehicle, you're not going to capture what's happening. Where the body-worn camera would give you that if they went into a residence or if they're moved away from their vehicle out of range, you capture everything that occurs. This is only a 3-year program, and that's what the warranty is for. The redaction software, once again, is included in pricing. So for in-car video, we use in-house servers. And if we were to do 24/7 storage of this data, and if we can go to the next slide, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but this vendor also has the other option of doing it with body cams. But their body cams, the existing vendor that we're using, does not include triggers. This is a 3-year program. There are no camera replacements in the 3-year project, unlike the other proposal that we have. And it requires expansion to the police department's evidence server. So right now, we're using in-house storage for our in-car video. And the city can expect to spend an additional $300,000 for the expansion of the servers needed to take all this data that we're going to be capturing 24/7. There's also a retention requirement. State law requires us to hold that footage or video for at least 1 year. But the practice in the profession and in the industry and the advice that you'll get from most city attorneys is that you should retain that for a minimum or a maximum of at least 2 years. So that's it pretty much in a nutshell. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer what I can.
Thank you for the update. I think it's really important that we bring this back as an agenda item as soon as possible in the new year to try and identify the resources and move as quickly as we possibly can, given the expiration happening on the in-car cameras. I think, you know, I'm leaning towards the better, a little more expensive, but better service provided of more included rather than, you know, the more servers we have and the more upkeep, it's also additional personnel. People forget about that you need somebody dedicated to IT in your department just for your servers. And that's a difficult job to share given the full-time work of our IT department for most of the city. Any questions before I open it to oral communications? Councilmember Cordova.
Chief, I just had a quick question. On the body-worn cameras, the 5-year term, so at the end of the 5 years, would we have to make the investment again to repurchase?
We would have to enter into another contract, just like we're going to do now with the in-car video system, which will expire in late April.
Okay.
We actually implemented the system in January or February of 2016, but we went through 2 or 3 months where we got a grace period, which was the pilot program. And then we went live where the video was then available for discovery and for records requests in April, late April or early May.
Okay. And without getting too far into the weeds, the positions that would need to be allocated for this particular item, is there a possibility that those positions could also do other tasks within your department, or do you feel and anticipate that they would need to be dedicated for that?
So as we looked at this, and I'm looking at what some other agencies are doing, given the size of our agency, that's probably what we would need in terms of staffing. And if we were to get requests, because, every case is more than likely going to have to provide that if we have the video, anything that we have to provide to the prosecution, which in turn then provides it to the defense in discovery. So that's why it's that labor intensive and that demand. I would envision that probably once the program got going, probably 80% or 90% of their time, if not 100%, will be dedicated to doing that because it's pretty labor intensive.
Understood. Thank you.
I just want to add one last comment here, and that is that, as I look around and as I research daily, as I read all the law enforcement periodicals and messages from the International Association of Chiefs of Police, as well as Police Executive Research Forum, and there's been numerous of articles on body-worn cameras, and the trend is, and the impetus is there, is that, most departments are going to go to that, and I can also see or foresee, and depending on what happens, but it's also been rumored and speculated that the federal government is probably going to mandate that as well too down the road. And if they do, I'm also optimistic and hopeful that maybe they'll also provide some kind of funding stream, at least seed money, to start these programs throughout the country.
Any other questions for Chief before we move on to the next? Seeing none, thank you, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We will now open the floor for oral communications on any matter before City Council. If you would like to call in, the number's 805-875-8201, and KPEG is back up. So if you call in at 805-875-8201, remember to mute your TV or your radio. You can speak on item for 3 minutes. If there's anyone in council chambers that has an item they'd like to speak to, you have 3 minutes and can come to the podium. The number again, 805-875-8201. No calls and no one rising. We will close oral communications and move to the next agenda item. Item number 5 is selection of Mayor Pro Tem for a term of 1 year or until a successor is chosen, and approval of the 2021 City Council meeting. I would like to move and nominate Councilmember Vega as Mayor Pro Tem for 2021. Councilmember Starbuck.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions, concerns? Seeing none, let's vote. And that passes 5-0. And then we need a motion for approval of the 2021 City Council meeting calendar. Councilmember Cordova.
I vote to approve the 2021 council meeting calendar.
Second.
Councilmember Starbuck seconds that. Any other questions or discussions? Seeing none, let's vote. And that also passes 5-0. Next agenda item is council appointment to the Planning Commission, and that would be for Councilmember Starbuck's open position. Councilmember Starbuck.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Steve Bridge as my appointee on the Planning Commission.
All right. I'll second. Any other questions? Seeing none, let's vote. And that passes 5-0. And we have one new business item, adoption of resolution number 6371, parentheses 20, declaring the city's intention to approve CalPERS contract amendment and introduction and first reading of ordinance number 1676, parentheses 20, authorizing an amendment to the CalPERS contract to implement cost sharing. And we have our Human Resource Manager, Gabriel Garcia, to make the presentation.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, members of the council, public, and public watching at home. So this is a contract amendment that the city has been working in collaboration with CalPERS to amend the employees' contribution portion of the CalPERS retirement. So on January 21st of 2020, the City Council adopted compensation resolutions and agreements covering various employee groups. And those compensation plans provided for employee cost sharing. And the cost sharing is a process where the employees pay a portion of the city's CalPERS retirement contribution. So we've been working, once we got that, the adoption, the resolutions and the memorandums of understanding, once we got those adopted and implemented, we started the process with CalPERS. So we've been working for months on this, and we're finally at the stage where we're asking the council to approve the intent to amend those contracts. So the cost-sharing arrangements were reached with the Lompoc Police Officers Association, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, the unrepresented employees, the management, supervisory, and confidential, and the executive management group. We are amending the Tier 1 and the Tier 2 employees. So the employees that are in the Tier 1 CalPERS tier, we're amending that to increase their contribution by 2%. And then the Tier 2 employees, we're going to amend the contract to reflect a 1% increase in the cost sharing. The council's adoption of the resolution and the ordinance attached to the staff report that was provided will formally initiate the CalPERS contract amendment process to reflect the cost-sharing arrangements that we made with those employee groups. So tonight, we're asking that staff adopt resolution number 6371, parentheses 20, giving notice of the city's intention to approve an amendment to the contract between the city and the Board of Administrations of CalPERS, to authorize the mayor to execute the resolution of intent to approve the CalPERS contract amendment, authorize the city manager and the city clerk or their designee to execute the CalPERS forms as required for submission to CalPERS to facilitate the CalPERS contract amendment process, and to introduce for the first reading by title only and further reading waived of ordinance number 167620, authorizing an amendment to the contract between the city and the Board of Administrations of CalPERS. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Garcia? Seeing none, we will go to public comment. If you would like to speak on item 7, please call 805-875-8201, and remember to mute your TV or radio, 805-875-8201.
Hello, you're live in the Lompoc City Council meeting. You have 3 minutes to provide public comment.
Thank you so much. My name is Janet Blevins, and the public comment that I would like to make is congratulations, Janelle. Congratulations, Gilda. Congratulations, Jeremy. Congratulations, Lompoc. Thank you.
If you would like to speak on item 7, the floor is now open for the podium in council chambers, and you may come forward and have 3 minutes to speak on item 7, or you may call 805-875-8201, 805-875-8201, and remember to mute your TV or radio. With no additional calls or anyone rising in chamber, we will close public comment and bring it back to council for either discussion or a motion. Councilmember Starbuck.
I'll go ahead and move staff recommendation.
I'll second.
And Councilmember Vega seconded. Any additional questions or concerns? Seeing none, let's vote. And that passes 5-0. Madam, thank you, Mr. Garcia. Madam Clerk, any written communications?
Nothing more than you've already received.
Thank you. This is your chance for oral communications at 2 minutes. You may call in at 805-875-8201, 805-875-8201, and remember to mute your TV or radio. The floor is open in council chambers as well for oral communications on any city matter not on the agenda, and you have 2 minutes maximum. Seeing no one rise or calls come through, we will close oral communications and bring it to council comments, reports, and requests. And we will begin with Councilmember Vega.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Ball.
I just want to report that I am excited to be here, happy to get started working on some fresh ideas and collaborating with the entire community. I just want to commit to everyone out there that's listening or watching is my approach continues to be, and I'm hopeful to push all on council, that if we have to disagree about 80% of the stuff, that's okay. Let's keep talking. Let's agree to figure out the 20% so we can work together to better our community. So I look forward to working with everyone up here. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'll do my best to catch up.
Councilmember Cordova.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Starbuck.
I have no reports.
Thank you. I attended the Tank and NCPA for the month of November, the standard Santa Barbara County legislative briefings, and the NASA Sentinel launch. I want to let and remind the community, if you are part of a local nonprofit that benefits potentially from our community development block grants, that window is now open. There will be a Zoom meeting to better understand the application and the instructions on Tuesday, December 8th, 2020 at 10:30 a.m. More information can be found on our website, or contact the Community Development Department at 805-875-8245. There is a program being put on by Excel Personnel Service to benefit the Fountain of Square of Lompoc for Christmas and VTC, the Tree of Love or Tree of Hope. If you would like to donate, you can call their office at 735-6723 to be provided a name and a list of items. So we thank them for doing that. And last but not least, the Behavioral Wellness Department with the Santa Barbara County has a commercial sexual exploitation of children workshop for those that are either employees with the county or nonprofits and entities that work with this. December 10th and 17th, it's free, and you should go to their website or contact them at bwelltraining@sbcwell.org. It is free, and it does meet your CEC qualifications, and just wanted to share that given it is a ongoing issue, especially in the time of pandemic and children being isolated and unfortunately not in school. So we need to make sure we're certified and able to do that. I do have a couple of council requests. The first is I would like to ask staff to bring back a discussion where we move our committees and commissions to district representation prior to making appointments for the next series of opens. I think it's really important, as Councilmember Vega has said recently when we were discussing that the council and committees sort of reflect each other, and now that we're completely at district representation, it would benefit our community to have district representation, our committees and commissions. So I would like support for that discussion.
I would support that discussion.
And I need a third.
I'll third it, second,
Thank you.
third, whatever you need.
So that's Councilmember Cordova and Councilmember Ball. And if we could have that potentially at the next meeting, I'm not sure if that, I know it would be really quick, but it would be nice since we need to make those appointments in January.
Yep, I'll get with our city attorney to work on that one.
Okay, thank you.
So let me ask a question. Now I have to find somebody else to appoint?
If we decide to move in that direction,
We can't even get people to run in some districts. This is going to be a very difficult thing.
this is part of our discussion. The other request I have is related to committees and commissions. Earlier this year, prior to the pandemic, we stood up an ad hoc to review the structure of all our committees and commissions. At the time, it was myself and Councilmember Mosby. Councilmember Cordova also volunteered. I'd like to continue that. We do have some of the reports that we can go back and evaluate and wrap that up and have a full discussion about the structure of committees and commissions. And I'd like to ask Councilmember Cordova if she'd like to join the ad hoc and ask council to support that and keep that moving forward. Is that something you'd be willing to do?
Yes, I do recall that might have been the meeting where I graciously allowed Councilmember Mosby. Yes,
That is it?
okay.
Yeah.
Then yes, I will definitely serve.
All right. Do I have support for that ad hoc to continue?
Yeah, I'll give you a third.
Thank you. I have, my final request is regarding the closure of the Lompoc Animal Shelter through January. There have been many notifications on local newspapers and TV reports and social media, and yet I have never seen a formal notice to us, and I know we paid extra this year as requested, so I'd like to find out what's going on, why they've closed it, if we're going to get a credit for the time closing. We just need to better understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, and not have it a permanent thing, because we do pay for this service. It is a need in our community, and having to go to Santa Maria or Santa Barbara to get your animals. So I'd like to have that come back, and the sooner rather than later. Is that something you need full, additional support on? Anybody else been paying attention to this? I've gotten emails and phone calls on it. Councilmember Starbuck?
No, absolutely. I mean, like I was just saying, there's $25,000 a month we pay for the service.
Yep.
We lumped all of our CDBG money a couple of years into remodeling La Paz. The whole thing it stinks for us.
Okay, and I just need a third then.
You got my third. I think we need to have a better communication from the county when stuff like this happens. I mean, as you already stated.
Okay, and the sooner we hear back, the better, so please.
Yes, I will get with staff as well as the county to see if they can actually have someone come up and do a presentation to discuss why.
Okay, thank you. All right. We will adjourn this council meeting to the next regular meeting at 6:30 p.m. on December 15th, 2020.